Hi, Ed here. Welcome to Ed Talks. Another exciting drop for real good reasons is one of them is kind of a homecoming for me. So I have with me Lisa Griffin. Lisa is the Chief Consumer Officer at University Hospitals, where I served many years ago. So Lisa, welcome to Ed Talks.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I know this can be really interesting because you're the first person that I've met with Chief Consumer Officer. I love the title and want to dig into that a little bit because sometimes people are like, "What's a patient?" or a member if it's a payer. But I love the term consumer, so really want to dig into that a little bit. But the first time we met is really now. So we've never, even though we have a lot of commonality in our past, we know some of the same people, we've worked for some of the same organizations. We never had the opportunity to meet eye to eye, except for now. So I'm really excited about that. And the first question I would have for you is tell me about the best customer experience you've had recently. So it doesn't have to be healthcare, but just any good customer experience you may have had.
Well, this would probably be a little bit touching. My father just passed,
Hmm.
and that is such a high emotional time. And we were in the hospital in the intensive care unit. And this is something that I'll hold dear, probably for the rest of my days. But my mother was struggling. So people may not think it's customer service or it's something that you help someone through. The doctor, my mother was struggling as to letting him go,
Hmm.
like thinking she's making the worst decision, a final decision. And the doctor kneeled down next to my mother and said, he's making the decision,
Hmm.
not you.
Yeah.
And my mother, it was almost as if my mother actually took his hand and held it. He held hers. And my mother says, let him go. If he codes again, let him go peacefully.
Hmm.
And he says, we will be here with you. And I thought at the worst time, my mother still talks about that moment. She doesn't talk about it in sadness. She talks about it as being one of the most touching things someone could ever do. So, not forgetting that humanity
Yeah.
in your survey. And I think that humanity was on display. And it's just something that I get good customer service at restaurants and things of that nature, but that was a moment um, that really could actually potentially destroy a person or help them. And to me, that was humanity at its finest. And it's something I'll always remember.
Yeah, Lisa, thanks for sharing. That's profound, super deep. Sorry for your loss. Uh,
Thank you.
your dad sounds like a great man. How long were your parents married?
Nearly 60 years.
Wow.
So, yeah, it was, and it's hard for her, but I wanted to share that because it's like getting back to basics
Yes.
of great humanity and the touching. And I think that that needs to be kind of a foundation for us now.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. I'm sorry, obviously on the passing of your dad, but yeah, that's a great story of the way it should be.
Yeah.
A great example to all of us. So speaking of parents, um, were there things that they made you do when you're younger that you're kind of like, I really don't want to do this. But now as an adult, you look back and say, I'm sort of glad they pushed that or instilled that in me.
Absolutely. I think we would be looking at my dad stop. Somebody has a flat tire, he stopped. Like we could be going to the park and you'd be like, oh, and you watch this time and time again, like no matter what, he felt he had to help. And then my mom would always make us look up the meaning of a word. Like you have to understand the context of it. When you use it, you want to make sure you're doing it the right way. And we would all be like, oh my God, rolling our eyes. And back then it was Encyclopedia Britannica.
Yeah.
Now, um, being in healthcare, both things helped me today.
Yeah.
One, details, understanding the meaning of things, for my mom, and always being thoughtful of what the meaning is. And then on my dad's side, the caring, the touching, ensuring that you help those in society. Doesn't matter who they are, you don't have to have a relationship. And it is just, my father really instilled in us to do the right thing when no one's looking. It's just the right thing to do, and it fits very well in healthcare. And I think it frames very much of
Yeah.
who I am.
Boy, I want to meet, I won't meet your dad, obviously, this side of heaven, but dang, I wish I would have met him. And your mom sounds like a fantastic person as well. So you're a really blessed person.
Oh yeah, and she was a nurse, so it made it a little bit easier.
Yeah. Wow, that's fantastic. Well, where I want to go next is just kind of a free question in terms of your background and how you became, all the way up to where you are today. And then we'll talk a little bit about maybe some things people don't know, and then we'll talk about your role because it's so unique. And then my favorite topic is the leadership, so which already exudes out of you, and your compassion and empathy. So yeah, let's just start off. Whatever you want to share on personal or professional side, like how you came to be and where you are today.
Well, mostly a little bit. My mom was in healthcare. She worked at Cleveland Clinic. In anesthesia and old St. Luke's. So healthcare kind of was some way that I gravitated to. Started off as a medical assistant, 19 years old at Cleveland Clinic. And then just, found out that I loved helping people in healthcare. And I volunteered a lot because there were positions that I wanted that I didn't have like the background. So I would go to another hospital or nursing home and volunteer to understand a little bit more about patients overall, families, things I wasn't exposed to. And the one thing I found in my life is I always wanted to understand another culture. So working at a cooking kitchen when I lived in Philadelphia, that was for the Jewish residents.
Hmm.
And I went there just so I can understand the
Yeah.
difference, culturally and understanding. So always being open. And I think that kind of framed me being inquisitive and understanding things in healthcare and understanding that I wanted society to be better. So I went from a medical assistant all the way up. So it started with team lead, and it started, and quite frankly, to be honest, when they made me a team lead, I was pretty much close to 20 years old, and I was, you don't know, I was power hungry, and 3 months in, I called HR and said, I need to step down.
Hmm.
I said, I'm making a shipwreck of people's lives. I'm
Hmm.
not ready for this type of role. I want people to be better when I leave, and I need to be prepared to lead in healthcare, you know? And so when I think back on that, they were like, okay, let's see what's open. I went back to being a registrar and spent time learning how to be a leader, how to effectively influence people and not have people fear me, or because I had a position of power that made them do something, wanting to feel like I can inspire people to do their best and own their own success has really been how I've led
Yeah.
over the years, and went all the way through. I'm a certified coder. I've been a financial counselor. I've worked inpatient, outpatient. I've set up new buildings, did facility planning. And so just all throughout the years, it was always to do with patient access or throughput. Even though I was in the business of healthcare, those things all pushed me along and moved me, and especially Epic. I mean, when I got to Epic, it was kind of like a love. like, oh, make this system work, make it intuitive, do great things. And I think that ended up being something that I was thrust into without thinking that's where I wanted to go, that technology portion of it. And that's how I got to this role. I've been a senior vice president in Jefferson, and I was a vice president at Vanderbilt. So I've had other exposure in other hospitals. But the one thing I think that has been the key is how do we build relationships with our communities and our providers together, putting them together and pushing them in ways that sometimes they don't think of. They think of who's in the door. I think of who's in my neighborhood. Who do I need to see that they have no clue that they need to be seen? Like those are the people that we should be concerned with.
Yeah.
That those that don't know they need to see a doctor. So things like that push me all the way to this actual position.
Yeah, so fascinating. Wow. I have so many different ideas percolating in my mind, and wish we had a lot more time. Let's pivot that now to university hospitals. Is there one thing that you've learned in your time there that is very unique about UH that maybe a lot of people might not know?
I think they know it, but the one thing that I am probably overjoyed or pleasantly surprised about is it is like a family, and it almost feels like it like it's the hospital for all people. I say that all the time. I think I've learned to say that. And I think they're open. This organization is open to listening to patients. We have a patient advisory council.
Yeah.
You know, I brought them in to my leadership meeting a week ago, and they're open. And I think I love that. And they don't care that they're not the only hospital. It's like, let's partner. You're good at something we may not be as best in, or we have this and you need that. Anything, and they're open to working with other organizations, Cleveland Clinic, Medical, and having partnerships. I think that's the one thing that is really pushes me to know this is a different mindset in healthcare.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you. I bear witness. You know, I serve on a board now. It's down at SUMA, and on that board is the former COO of UH, and we're tight because of that experience, you know, serving together at UH. And I'm really good friends with another former COO there and the former CFO there. And these are 15, 20, 25-year relationships, you know, to your point. And we still, you know, love on one another and take care of one another. So I think you're right about the culture. There's a very special place and has been for some time. So let's talk about the Chief Consumer Officer role, because I think you're the first one, right? You're the pioneer. Can you share a little bit about the role?
Absolutely, I'm the pioneer. I thankfully, you know, I had a sponsor, and that's Danny Ciccarello. She was at the time the COO, and now I report to Dr. Sasser, our president of the hospital. But my role is vast, and I was a vice president of the consumer experience and clinical access. And her and I sat down, and I said, I have 38 nurses with contractual agreements around the United States, plus our own organization. I have pre-cert, I have a call center, I have all the EDs, I have emergency departments, I have admissions, I have a workforce management team, I have an electronic revenue oversight. So for me, I was doing everything from pre-visit all the way to post-visit, and then that falls to revenue cycle. And I said, this role is vast, and it certainly warrants more than a vice president. People need to understand how important this body of work is, and it needs another role. It needs to be called something that lets them know we are connected to the consumer and all of these points. And that's how this role came to be. Sitting down, looking at all of the connections and saying, this is what we need. My department is actually called, and I named it, Care Connections. I've done that in pretty much most of the hospitals I've been in, so people can keep that in their mind of they're connecting patients to the care that they need or they're seeking. And so to keep it in, it's not access, it's not I need you to get here or things of that nature, connecting patients to with our employees, and they know they're the first touch point of the healing journey for our patients. So let's call that you're connecting patients to care. So that's kind of how this role came to be. A little bit of what I do on a daily basis, like I even have the template builders that build the schedules. It is ensuring that there are no barriers. And if you think about it in this way, our patients have opportunities to seek us. And most people in healthcare use what? The airplane analogy when they talk about access. And I'm like, no, my leader and I talked about it in this way. Our patients come to us. Some want to come on an airplane, some want to come in a car, and some want to come on a train. Whatever their preference is, it needs to be easy.
Yeah.
The easy button. And we need to make sure that all those pathways that they choose, they can connect with us. And that's what we do. We make sure that they're financially taken care of, pre-cert, financial assistance. We make sure all those things that a patient would worry about, a consumer would worry about, that we are there to connect them to either financial assistance, putting them on some type of government assistance if they're eligible, just helping them on their healing journey and not letting them worry about the things that they shouldn't have to worry about. That's this role.
Yeah. No, I love it for many, many reasons. Let me dig. You already telegraphed the answer, but I'm going to ask the question anyways, because I think it's an important, I want to hear what you have to say about it, because I think it'll be really important. So the title is Chief Consumer, and why not patient? Or what, how did you come about, saying it's a consumer as opposed to a different word?
Because of the chat, well, there's two sides of it. I think it came up with consumer is because we're reaching people that are not patients yet.
That's right.
And so we're going outside of our organization and we're understanding our communities and we're bringing care to where they are. And some of them are not patients. So everyone's a consumer. Everyone. Yeah. And so we decided to go that route so that we capture everyone. And it could be family members. And it actually could be, in some cases, businesses and just kind of doing a business with other people who would not have connected to care.
Yeah. No, that's great. I think it's super, super insightful. Yeah, let's move on to leadership, because you're already given us a lot of leadership stuff. And so I want to ask you a couple other questions around that. Tell me about the hardest decision you ever had to make in the workplace.
Probably making the decision and helping someone make the decision that healthcare is not where they should be. So giving them all of the tools to understand what it takes to be in healthcare, the type of person you need to be. And if this is not the field for you, helping you get to where you best fit. And that has been hard for me. Haven't had to do that a lot because most people pick healthcare and they know the challenges, they know the joys, they know everything, but having to do that. The other thing I can tell you is challenging the norms. Being able to say things and feel comfortable saying it has not always been easy for me. So challenging myself to say I should be in this room, I should be at this table, my ideals should be valued. And I think it is an understanding that regardless of how I grew up or the challenges that I encountered or how whatever I thought I was encountering, coming to the conclusion personally that I'm not a victim of circumstances, my upbringing, my challenges. And there's one thing I live by: no one has to feel sorry for me.
Mm.
No, no
Yeah.
one. And so I think it's coming to those self-discoveries and then overcoming them as a person have been like some of the things that I've had to come to. So as Michelle Obama would say, becoming that person you were always destined to be, and realizing that you are the right person for the role, you're the right person for the destiny, you're the right person for whatever that you choose to do. I think that personal discovery has always been very, very difficult for me. And taking, you know, people congratulating me or telling me you're amazing or something like that. That was very difficult for me. My mother had to tell me one day, even as I got older, just say thank you.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's hard. Just say thank you. Then that way you'll get used to it. And I think it's just really realizing that I should be where I am. And a lot of leaders, they kind of stagnate sometimes in their thinking because either they're overboard or they don't think, they're in the background and not really bringing their talent forward. I think I've been both. And so now I got a balance of both sides.
That's good stuff. Um, what about times of refreshing? So, you have broad role responsibilities, and I know it's probably burdensome at times in a sense, right? In terms of the weight of the responsibilities. How do you take time for yourself and sort of refresh, um, just take time to reflect? How do you do that?
Well, I know one is probably unconventional, so I'll leave that one for last, but I love to play basketball. So basketball, basketball, basketball. I probably have every color Nike 270s. It is just something I can zone and I can just shoot and I can just, you know, just do something that I've done since I was young and I love to do it. So that's one. And most of the time is with my grandchildren. So I get the best of both worlds together. And a lot of times I just walk and reflect on what's important in life and things of that nature. The unconventional part of that is knowing that my life has meaning. So I go into the Cleveland Public Schools and I teach.
Mm.
And I teach from special ed all the way to careers and soft skills and things to the high school. So I go there because it makes me understand that someone got me and someone helped me and someone gave me valuable tools. And now I go to give valuable tools. And it makes me feel like, okay, this is why I do what I do. This is why things make sense to me. And it's because I love to teach. So teaching and giving back to the community is a refreshing for me. It is. I did it yesterday. I taught 5 classes. So I think that's why today I'm very reflective and kind of in a state of, high emotion, because I think about the possibilities of those students and what they're going to bring into the world. And I helped to be, I was a part of it. So it's refreshing for me in that way.
That's very cool. So Lisa, we talked about a lot of things in a short amount of time. We talked about your amazing parents, a little bit about your upbringing and background, talked about your role specifically, and then sort of ended here with leadership. Is there something we missed or something we did talk about that you want to double down on? I'll give you the last word.
If I share anything else, it is, and it's not a cliche, but be kind. Like, you have no clue what any person is dealing with. And we have the ability as leaders to actually make a difference in someone's life. And if you don't do anything else, make sure that you're kind
Yeah.
to those that may not even be kind to you. And I'll leave that as my departing wisdom for those that are listening.
Wow, this has been really terrific. I really appreciate you sharing. You shared from your heart, and you dropped so much wisdom on all of us watching and listening that I think it really will benefit many. And I think UH is super lucky to have you. I'm jealous now of Robert. You get to work with my buddy Robert Erdley and Jeff Sunshine and others. And wow, what a terrific person you are. And I definitely, next time I'm up and I go out with those guys, I'm gonna say, bring Lisa along, and maybe we'll shoot some hoops too.
Yeah, I'll be there. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. And thank you for listening and being part of our show. I know you have a lot of different shows you could watch and ways to educate yourself, and I'm glad you chose us.